I'm Harry Graver. I'm a sophomore in Davenport and vice president of the Buckley program. I'm keeping my introduction incredibly short, but before I do that, there have been a lot of thank yous tonight, and one that is very fitting for someone I've seen many a night at 2 in the morning tirelessly typing away, answering the hundreds of emails he's been getting about this, is Nathaniel, who's really done the day-to-day with this. So I think we should take a moment and give him a thank you. I'm here now to introduce Senator James Buckley, born in New York City, a Yale grad and a Yale Law grad, Yale 43, Yale Law 50, I believe. A noted career in both the Navy, State Department, as a federal judge, his legal career, most notably as a petitioner in Buckley v. Vallejo, and this may be the only room in my Yale career that is a very welcoming room to the decision of Buckley v. Vallejo, so it's certainly an important part. 1970, elected United States Senate as the Conservative Party. As many New York residents here, I'd hope it's not the last time someone from the Conservative Party will be elected for New York Senate, but so far he's the only one. And we are very honored to have him here tonight and also as our board of directors. So, ladies and gentlemen, Senator James Buckley.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Henry, for that wonderful, warm, eloquent, and perception of my brother Bill. And I also want to thank Lauren and Nathaniel and that wonderful congerie of enlightened Yale students they have brought together for this evening. How Bill would have enjoyed this day, not out of any sense of solemn vindication, but for the sheer fun of it, for being back in the lion's den and twisting its tail. Few people in this world had more fun in life than Bill. God and man at Yale, however, were not written for the fun of it, but with a serious purpose to present a critique of his alma mater that he knew would subject him to the most brutal attacks. But then his editorials for the Yale Daily News had accustomed him to barrages of slings and arrows, so he knew he could survive them, bloodied perhaps, but never unbowed. I was in New Haven at that time at the Yale Law School for his first 3 years and then with a New Haven law firm. I followed the controversies that he stirred up with fascination, including a fascination with the seriousness with which the university took the attacks on the sacred principle of academic freedom. To understand why Bill's editorials couldn't be dismissed as undergraduate rant, it should be noted that he wasn't a starry-eyed adolescent when he arrived in New Haven. While World War II had accelerated my own passage through Yale, it delayed his arrival there. As a consequence, he was older when he entered college than I was when I graduated, and those additional years brought with them a maturity and experience, including a couple of years in uniform, that in turn would be reflected in the editorials with which he would scandalize the Yale establishment. In turn, when he joined the class of 1950, he was already his own man, and an unusually perceptive and intelligent one at that. He was accustomed to arriving at his own conclusions about how the world worked and was not apt to be overawed by or intimidated by academic luminaries. He also appreciated how intellectually vulnerable 17 and 18-year-olds can be on arriving in the hallowed halls of a great university. So when he noted a prevailing bias in favor of agnosticism and collectivism in the undergraduate curriculum, he decided that he must do something about it, and he used the bully pulpit provided by the news to do so. Specifically, as you all are aware, he argued that a great university had an obligation to advance the values that lie at the heart of the society of which it is a part, and that religion and individualism lay at the heart of the American experience and were fundamental to its success. That being so, he believed that Yale's tolerance of a curriculum subversive of those values was an abandonment of responsibility that its governing board and alumni should not tolerate. Needless to say, tenured professors were outraged, but Bill's understanding of a university's role was hardly novel. Yale, after all, had required undergraduates to attend chapel until just 20 years before he arrived here. Of course, it is one thing to write a series of editorials, quite another to convert their themes into a serious book. As Bill explained in its preface, he was upset by the tendency of conservatives of his time to shrink from battle in support of their beliefs, thereby surrendering the field to radicals who, in his words, so often members of the minority, exert disproportionate influence because of their dedication to their causes. But Bill felt deeply about the cause he had championed at Yale and was not about to concede the field. Nevertheless, for a 25-year-old to actually write a book defying the by then entrenched view of faculty prerogatives required a self-assurance of rather astonishing proportions. But this had been characteristic of Bill since his earliest years, to the bemusement and at times irritation of his older siblings. That self-assurance was built into his genes, and because it was based on a sure sense of how the world actually does work, it was destined to move a nation. I recall a striking example of that combination of confidence and analysis, namely the reasons he gave me for his decision to found a magazine. He explained that America had been on a destructive path since the launching of the New Deal, and that a magazine, The New Republic, had been responsible for creating the intellectual environment that had made this radical expansion of the federal government possible. That magazine had accomplished this by bringing together gifted writers who made the intellectual arguments in favor of a centralized governmental response to virtually every problem. Their writings in turn inspired political commentators and politicians to assume that it was Washington's responsibility to scratch just about every itch that afflicts the body politic. And in the process, they launched a political revolution. Bill's purpose in founding National Review was nothing less than to create a vehicle for conservative analysis that would return the United States to its constitutional roots. It was a breathtaking idea, but he carried it out, and in the process, he restored conservatism as a force in American politics. The rest is history. And how do we know it's history? Because Yale now teaches it. And for that and so much more, we have to thank the student entrepreneurs who have given us the William F. Buckley program at Yale. God bless them all.